Alright guys, so we've got the Street Fighter 6 Season 3 patch here, and there's a big change that I don't think enough people are really talking about. I think this patch has severely nerfed the risk reward for drive rush cancels into like strike throw shimmy mix, and I'm going to show you why. So I'm going to set Ryu and Guile here in the corner. This isn't specific to the characters, it doesn't matter who I'm using. But I'm going to make a save state here. So I have full drive bar with Guile, and Ryu has just over 3 bars of drive here. So I'm going to do the typical drive rush cancel, jab into strike throw shimmy mix, okay? Check this out. Look at the drive gauge for both of these characters now. I started with 6. Ryu started with just above 3. Now Ryu has just over 4. But me, the Guile player, I have just over 3. So from this one exchange, because the defender gains drive meter and super meter when they tech a throw, which is new to Street Fighter 6 Season 3, the risk reward for going for a drive rush cancel into throw mix is really bad for the attacker. So I think a lot of people are going to end up not only just burning themselves out, but also giving the defender, their opponent, a ton of meter by trying to go for this mix. This was really strong before. I mean, really strong is a bit of a stretch. This is always kind of a not good turnout, because even if they didn't tech it and they took the throw, you were still spending 3 bars of drive rush to get 1200 damage. But now, because if they tech it, it's just like really bad for you as the attacker. So I think this is going to really change how you want to kind of approach your attack patterns and how you want to spend your drive meter, because if your throw gets teched, it's really bad for you and really good for the defender. So they've brought a little bit more risk reward into drive rush cancels, and I don't think enough people are really talking about this. I mean, I said that at the beginning of the video, it's a big change. And also guys, another important change is you hitting that subscribe and like button, because doing that really helps me out. So you guys know what to do, go for it. There's another change I want to talk about that I think is also really important that I don't really see enough people talking about. I think people are kind of really downplaying the changes to the season because they're kind of like small changes, but they really impact the game in a big way. Second one we're going to talk about is this right here, the crouching light kick, crouching light punch change. And this kind of has to do with how parries work. You guys ever fought those kind of players where you try to jab them like this, jab, and they always would like perfect parry your second or third jab all the time? This kind of a thing. Well, now with this patch change, your opponent can't just hold down back and try to perfect parry you. See there? I got the perfect parry timing, but I got the imperfect parry, so I didn't get the screen freeze because I was holding down back. So if you're trying to perfect parry jabs, like crouching jabs or standing jabs, you have to switch from a down back block to a stand block. They also changed the way crouching light kicks work. So crouching light kicks are far less disadvantaged now. For example, Ryu, this crouching light kick, this used to be -3 on block. Now it's only -1 on block. So Ryu before, he couldn't do crouching light kick into standing light punch. You could like hit him out of that. But now, because it's only -1, and because your opponent has to decide which kind of parry they want to go for, a standing parry or a crouching parry, doing this kind of stuff to your opponent is a mix. So your opponent doesn't know if you're going to do jab, or if you're going to do jab light kick, crouching light kick. So let's say I think Ryu is going to do something like this, jab, and I want to perfect parry the second one. I have to switch my block from a crouching block to a standing block to beat that. But if the Ryu player decides to do this to me, the crouching light kick instead, and I go for that stand block, there, I go for the stand block to beat the second crouching light jab that I think is coming, I'm not going to get a perfect parry and I can't beat that anymore. So I think in this game, in Season 3, up close pressure and mixing your pressure between jab or jab crouching light kick is going to be a huge difference. And it's really going to skew like the risk reward, and it's going to make the defender and the attacker think a lot more, right? So to get this, I have to commit to down back. If I want to get this perfect parry, I have to commit to down back. But then again, if the Ryu player just switches it up and goes for jab instead, and I hold down back, I'm not going to get that perfect parry. There we go. So I have to change that. Then there's another thing, special moves. What if Ryu decides to go for this instead? Shiogeki. These kind of special moves, you actually have to stand block this. You can't perfect parry this, crouch blocking. There, that was the imperfect parry. So I think these kind of things are going to make a huge difference with up close pressure. Also, another thing, this is actually, that change is actually kind of bad for charge characters, because if you try to go for that perfect parry and you don't get it right, you lose your charge, right? So if you think they're going to go for something like this, and you want to perfect parry this, and you're wrong, and your opponent doesn't go for that, and they go for the low instead, if you want to go for that perfect parry, you have to give up your charge as a charge character. There, so that's me as a guy. I had to stand there to block that, what I thought would be like a mid attack, but a low actually came. So this is kind of like a small nerf to charge characters too, because now you actually have to decide, do you want to give up your charge to attempt that perfect parry? And if you're wrong, is it worth giving up charge? So again, another change that doesn't seem too big when you first think about it, but the more you get into it, the bigger it gets. And I don't think people are talking about this enough. I'm not sure if anybody is really realizing how much this kind of changes offense and defense at close range. And I think these changes are really good, because now you can't just hold down back and like hope you get a lucky perfect parry. You have to really think about what kind of patterns your opponent is using and how they're going to attack. So I think this is really strong. And I think we're going to start to see players, as the coming days and weeks pass by and people get more used to the changes in this version, I think we're going to start to see more high-level players implement this into their game plan. I think everybody's still kind of playing Season 2.5 right now. Not everybody has really adapted to these changes yet. I mean, it's only like, what, day 2.5? Day, not even? Maybe day 2.5 of this balance update. So people aren't really used to it yet, but I think once people get a grip on this, it's going to change things quite a bit. I don't think it's really going to shift character tiers that much, although characters that have like good pressure after light kicks, crouching light kicks, are probably going to do really well, and characters who don't probably won't do as well. But it's going to have an effect on how you play this game and how you make both your offensive and defensive choices. So I think it's something to think about. Really, like, you guys really got to think about this, and you got to try to implement it into your game plan as soon as possible, just to kind of adapt to these Street Fighter 6 Season 3 changes. So again, these are changes that don't really seem too big on paper when you look at them, but when you actually put them like under the lens and play it in the game, I think it's really big. So we'll see what happens. What do you guys think? Do you think these are big changes? Have you thought about this stuff yet? Let me know in the comments, and I'd love to know what you think. But anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. Thanks for checking it out, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.